How do you draw simplified fur whenever you're drawing animals? For me, I only have a few rules that I tend to follow, so let's get into it because when you break it down, it's not terribly complicated. So with fur, I have two basic rules. I look at the form and I pay attention to the flow. So for the form, obviously, hair coming off of the skin of the animal, it's going to be tapered. You're going to have a wider base than you are going to have at the tip. Now, short hair is always going to be stiffer than long hair, which will always be looser. Now, the looser long hair will always react to gravity a whole lot better, and that's really important to know whenever you're talking about the bends and the curvature. So if I have a curved surface, which would be our animal's skin, anytime it curves and it bows inward toward the body, your fur is going to compress and it's going to go inward and lay on itself. Now, when it bows outward away from the body, it's going to expand and you're going to see those strands popping out a lot more. So say you have these rolls like wrinkles that you'd find like on a dog, it's going to compress as it goes outward, but once it goes to the edge, you're going to see that break of that silhouette as it's expanding. That being said, fur has layers. It's a really good way to think about it. So I like to think about this sphere broken up into pieces. Now, as I go down this sphere, I'm going to add more hatching and I'm going to add more contour lines to showcase the more detail of how that fur lays on itself. And it works in multiple shapes, like if this is like a raccoon tail. So the more detail you have, it's going to be showcased as you go lower down the figure, and that also is going to give more weight. So it's going to give a little more depth to your drawing. So contour is key when thinking about this though. So it doesn't just work with straight shapes, you can also curve your shapes, but remember that your fur is going to complement the contour of the shape underneath. So that being said, flow. You need to think of the overall shape, not just the fur itself. So if I have something like a foxtail, I have this. Now, don't do repetitive shapes. That's not natural. That's not what it looks like unless you're being fried with electricity. Instead, pick your spots. Extend the contour out to complement the shape. With that, whenever you are extending your spots, make sure everything is going the same direction because that's going to be your calm sense. And if it's going in opposite directions, that's obviously chaotic action. So good to know whenever you're drawing things in motion. Now, breaking the silhouette is really important whenever you're drawing animals at different sizes because you're not going to be able to showcase every single strand of fur. That's just going to be over rendered and it's going to be too messy. So you need to pick your spot. So breaking the silhouette helps because you can have your straight lines, you can have your curves, but you don't have to draw every line. And whenever you're doing the fur, make sure that you keep the fur asymmetrical. Not every animal is going to be super well groomed where every piece of fur is great, so make sure you break that up a little bit. Now, wool is really the only other animal fur hair that I tend to draw more than anything else. So I don't use straight lines whenever I'm doing wool. I make it very lumpy, it's very messy, lots of curved contours, and very stark shadows, because I feel like that gives you the most tactile texture, and it just breaks things up. Now, obviously, I tend to see them and draw them on jackets a lot, and you don't have to render the whole thing, it's more just the suggestion of the lumping, but inking is really where it stands out the most, because you can use a brush to really get sort of that natural splotchiness that really helps, and brushes are your friend when it comes to inking animal fur. And that's it for now.